I speak to you in the name of the one holy and living God.
Amen.
Please be seated. Well, Tuesday afternoon, I watched as University of Arizona researcher Dante Loretta's audacious dream, a dream born in 2011, came true. 9 years, $1.16 billion, and the devoted collaboration of thousands of individuals kissed the asteroid Bennu with the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft 200 million miles away from Tucson, Arizona's Space Lab, and landed, touched down, on a spot the size of 2 parking spaces. And this is impossible. When the spacecraft touched down for a mere few moments and grabbed a sample of what might be some of the original grit of creation, the ground crew's eyes moistened and teared up above their masked mouths as they raised their arms, pumping in celebration, and shouted with a singular voice, "We did it! We did it!" Sometimes this is exactly what we humans need. Exactly what we need to be set on fire and inspired to be more than we ever imagined we could be. We need a dream. We need a really big, audacious, adventurous, impossible dream toward which we move all together. And so when I got to our reading from Leviticus this week to consider this, it made me wonder, is this what God is up to when compelling Moses to deliver an even more audacious dream or call to all of humanity? And God said, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." Now, we've all heard those words before, and they tend to kind of wash right past us. And so I want to invite you this day to pause, to let those words in, to chew on them, and let them have their way with you. You are holy. You shall be holy. You see, there's no equivocation in that statement. You shall be holy. You must be holy. Now let me be clear. The injunction to holiness is not limited to a few special people who are set aside for a religious life or called to holy orders. The you of "you shall be holy" refers to the entire congregation of Israel. The second person point of view belongs to all people who are addressed with these words. Oh yes, and by the way, that would be us. You shall be holy. You must be holy. We, the people of God, are created in the image and likeness of God. We are meant to be a holy people. People whose lives, individually and collectively, now hear that part, individually and collectively, all together, we are meant to be conformed to God's audacious dream, God's call to be holy. Now, I can almost hear a few of you wanting to push back and argue with me. Oh, Reverend Debra, we've heard you say it, and isn't it patently clear that God is God and we are not? Think about our ancestor Job. Surely he was a righteous, holy man. I mean, God and the devil, no one could find fault with him. Yet he suffered in every area of his life. He lost everything, right down to his own health, and we find him sitting on an ash heap covered with boils, railing at God, calling out to God. And then we hear God bellowing back from inside a whirlwind, "Gird up your loins like a man. I will question you, and you declare to me?" Really? Will you even put me, God, in the wrong? Will you condemn me to justify yourself? Have you an arm like God? Can you thunder with a voice like God? Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook and press down its tongue with a cord? I don't know about you, but hearing God's challenge to Job is really daunting. But I say, acknowledging the distance between God and us is rather like reckoning the 200 million miles between the University of Arizona Space Lab and the asteroid Bennu. By daring together to seek the unreachable and do the impossible, together we experience unspeakable fulfillment come near. Together, we can do it. You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. The text, Leviticus, proceeds from there for many chapters with detailed descriptions of how to respond to this audacious call to a life of holiness. Treat people with justice. Be merciful to the suffering and care for the poor. Speak truthfully. Act with integrity. You see, being holy has everything to do with how we conduct our day-to-day lives. Being holy is not a concept. It is not an abstraction. It is not even a moral position. Being holy is a call to action. And dare I suggest, being called to holiness seems more doable than finding my way to a parking space on the asteroid Bennu 200,000 miles away. To people of God, we are called to lives of holiness. Just in case we get bogged down in details and derailed by arguments, you know the arguments, well, so what is just? What is lawful? What is merciful? What is true? What is holy? In case we're getting derailed by these things, we can return to our text in Leviticus that concludes ever so graciously with a really great summary statement. And it is this: you shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against any of your people. That's pretty clear. But you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Period. No conditions on that. It's pretty straightforward. To be holy as God is holy, we are not to hate one another, not to be unkind, not to hold grudges, but to act with mercy and love. Period. So now I want to turn to our gospel text according to Matthew, where, being a well-versed Jew in the Torah, the study of Torah, Jesus affirms this Levitical commandment to love your neighbor as yourself, and finds it to be only second only to the first and greatest commandment, which he would have found in the 5th book of the Torah, Deuteronomy. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Some translations, with all your strength. See, what Jesus is doing here is he is giving voice to God's dream, God's call to a life of holiness. And this is not new news to the Jews, and it is not new news to us either. We answer God's call to live lives of holiness by treating the aged, the infirmed, the foreigner, the poor with respect, care, and consideration. We speak truth. We do not profit at the expense of others. We do not nurture resentment, stir up hatred, or seek retaliation. Rather, we show thoughtfulness, grant forgiveness, and volunteer to extend hospitality, even and perhaps especially to those whom we think least deserve it. God compels Moses to deliver an audacious call to all of humanity. All of humanity. You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. And although this dream of holiness may seem to be 200,000 miles away from our reach, being made in the image and likeness of God, nothing is impossible for us. Nothing is impossible for us when together we decide to direct our hearts and our minds, our actions and our resources to make God's dream come true. Dear people of God, do we dare? Do we dare to dream the impossible and seek the unreachable divine asteroid? And in so doing, together receive the kiss of unspeakable fulfillment? Do we dare? I mean, after all, if together we can find our way to a parking space on an asteroid 200 million miles away, surely we can be kind. Amen. As always, we begin with a call to action aimed at what is right. This call to action is to choose one quality that you will add to life to make the world better this week. Peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Choose one quality that you are consciously and conscientiously committed to adding to our world this week.